Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Doom Patrol recap here on the channel. Today we're going to go over Season 1, Episode 13. We're only 2 episodes away from the end of the first season, so let's go ahead and get right into it. We begin with a flashback to Kansas in 1964. A muscular man wearing only leopard print short shorts and some boots walks through a classic looking town, hand in hand with a red-haired lady. Everyone is shouting out to him that he's their hero, and I guess this is just another time in the show where people don't find superheroes walking about to be anything out of the ordinary. Every time the man flexes a muscle, something appears, including when he flexes his butt cheeks and a flower pops up out of the ground. Everyone kind of laughs at this like it's charming, and I'm just a little weirded out, but hey, nothing new with this show, right? The couple are interrupted by a boy crying for help, and the muscle man named Flex Mentallo goes to help the boy rescue his kitten from a very low-hanging tree branch. Like, honestly, he could have just reached up and grabbed the cat, but he flexes his powers and lowers the branch and then talks sweetly to the cat, who then opens its mouth, and a yellow light makes Flex Mentallo disappear. The boy talks into some sort of wristband communicator and tells him that the target has been acquired. We head back to the present at the ant farm, where Cyborg is still holding his father's body. Rita tells him that Silas is still alive, but they need to get him out of there quickly. Larry's negative spirit floats into the cell that was next to Cyborg's, and I'm pretty sure the bearded man who is imprisoned there is actually a modern-day Flex Mentallo. He runs out into the hall, and Rita suggests that's who the man is. The Bureau closes in on the team, and Jane turns into Flit and teleports the whole team out of the ant farm and back to the mansion. She takes Cyborg and Silas to a hospital and then teleports back. Larry feels sick and goes back to his room, and his negative spirit follows. They are now 2 separate beings, and Larry just wants to be alone, but the negative spirit touches him, and we flash back to the ant farm in 1964 when Larry was being experimented on. He's taken to a cell, and next door is Flex Mentallo, most likely not long after his abduction in the first of the episode. They make small talk through the wall, and then Flex uses his powers to rip a hole in the wall. Flex wants Larry's help to escape the ant farm, but Larry tells him no, and the negative spirit comes out of Larry, and Flex tries to communicate with it, calling it Sparky. In the present day, Jane and Cliff try to get Flex to remember who he is, but after being tortured so long at the ant farm, he doesn't really have a clue who he really is or who he was. At a hospital, Rita tells Vic that his father is going to be okay. Then she encourages him to put his original operating system back in, but he refuses after everything that's happened to him. Back at the mansion, Cliff and Jane give Flex a makeover and try to show him the man he was, but even with his new look, he doesn't remember himself. Rita finds herself running into an elderly man at the hospital played by Ed Asner, and I'm kind of surprised that he's guest starring on this show. Just doesn't seem the type of job he'd take, really. Ed Asner tells Rita about something in his past that he regrets, and Rita tells him about a secret that she's been keeping, how she basically was a pimp back in her Hollywood days. She would set up meetings between upcoming starlets and the head of a studio, and she would pimp these girls out to him, and he would make them stars, and Rita would continue to get work. She tells him about one particular girl who became pregnant and then ended up killing herself. Rita started to regret her actions, but then she got the role that would eventually lead to her accident when she fell into the water and gained her abilities. Back at the ant farm in 1964, Flex continues to work on Larry, trying to convince him to help them escape. The men from the Bureau show him a video where they have his wife captured, and they're threatening to torture her if he doesn't comply with them. He gives up and lets them take him away, and this enrages Larry's negative spirit. Back in the present, Jane brings the older lady that we saw a few episodes back to the mansion. She's apparently Flex's wife, but she'd been used by the Bureau for years. This brings his memories back and does the same for the lady, and things are looking good until a beeping goes off and suddenly the lady starts to fade away like she's been a victim of Thanos after the snap. They pretty much use the same special effects, and I kind of wondered if this was a clever little diss at Marvel. As the lady fades away, Flex start to, well, flex, and fireworks go off all over the mansion, lights bursting out and leaving the place in total darkness. Back at the hospital, Rita tries one last time to convince Vic to reinstall his operating system. She tells him that he can trust her, and he does what she asks as the lights flicker around them. Rita walks off at the end, and Ed Asner reappears, this time revealing himself as Mr. Nobody, who once again has gotten inside one of the heroes' heads. getting them to do his will. Back at the mansion, Larry begins to get sick, coughing up blood, and he realizes this is all because of his separation from the negative spirit that has been keeping his body healthy all these years. Larry urges the spirit to leave and not become trapped inside him again, taking his chances with his health. The spirit leaves for a minute, then returns and goes back into Larry, bringing him back. Rita returns to the mansion and tells him that she's figured out a way to save the chief, and they all agree to help her. Now suddenly the screen pauses and we see that Mr. Nobody is watching all of this on a tablet. He's dressed in probably everything you could ever buy from the DC Universe store. A Doom Patrol hat, a Doom Patrol shirt, drinking out of a Doom Patrol cup, covered up in a Doom Patrol blanket. He's talking to himself, saying after 13 pointless episodes, we finally have a team, and he gets up beside a huge Doom Patrol poster and tells us that it's finally coming down to a battle. Anyone want to place bets on if you can actually buy all this stuff in the DC online store? Talk about creative product placement. Now the episode ends there, and next we head into the penultimate episode of the season. I'll see you all back here next time. Be sure and check out the other recaps if you missed an episode, and continue subscribing if you aren't already one. Thanks for watching, everyone.